What are your thoughts on President Biden forgiving 10 to 20K in federal student loan debt per borrower? Personally, I think the best thing they could do is make student loan payments 100% tax deductible. That means if you work an extra job, overtime, etc., in order to pay down your loans, that income doesn't count in your total AGI when tax time comes. I think they need to redo the system. It used to be student loan companies were a lot tight on lending money. Then laws were changed, mainly making it impossible to declare bankruptcy on student loans. Unfortunately, we can't go back because Pandora's box is open. We can do things like limiting interest rates and allowing bankruptcy, but with stricter guidelines. I have been in education for a while, and have been working in higher ed for the last couple years on scaling accessibility to learning with high-end universities. TL. Dr. The problem is far larger and more complicated than loan balances. And this makes the actual problem of making higher ed accessible and affordable larger. Tuition inflation is so high because people have easy access to basically unlimited financing for tuition. View education as a requirement. And there are finite seats in reputable higher ed programs. People decide they are going to school regardless of price. The system will give them loans for basically any amount of money necessary to do that. And they will take whatever those loans are and enroll. This means that higher ed is a price-inelastic good. Because of this, schools keep raising tuition and demand doesn't go down. The university's best interest is therefore always to raise tuition. They take that increased tuition money and put it into their admin budget to do whatever they want with. Hire more people on their teams. Build fancy amenities, etc. You can see this because school budgets keep ramping admin costs. Not the budgets of the actual programs. The money goes mostly into hiring around the people who are deciding to raise tuition, and interim entities. Professors aren't the ones drawing budgets and raising revenue, so they don't get to allocate the new revenue to themselves. Notably, the universities do not meaningfully increase seats. Really ever. The value of a degree is driven largely by its exclusivity. The hiring manager viewing it as a prestigious mark on your resume that helps them easily filter the stack down. So you can't scale seats arbitrarily without devaluing the degree. Forgiving loans will reduce downward pressure on price even more, increasing tuition inflation, thus making it even more expensive to do the next round of tuition forgiveness. We should solve the actual underlying problem first, but that problem is complicated and people have little interest in interacting with complexity. So no one is even talking about the actual problem. Instead, we will do a simple thing the public can understand, and keep the snowball rolling down the mountain. Growing. The Pell Grant filter is a good idea though. Education loan forgiveness is regressive. It helps wealthier people more than poorer people because poor people generally don't go to college at all. So filtering by Pell Grant eligibility, and thus family income, is a good filter. This is a band-aid. Please also fix the larger issue. Why is there interest on student loans to begin with? Doesn't address the problem. Cost of college is asinine. I think it would be better to permanently freeze all interest to 0% and reduce all current balances by an amount equal to total interest paid on the debt to date. This way taxpayers do not pay for someone else's education, but the government is also held responsible for their part in creating the spiraling education costs to begin with. Let them pay off their debt over time. But there's no reason to ever have interest on it. There are more problems with the student loan system that need fixed. Bigger problems. Fixed loan caps would be where I would start. First, lots of other stuff. But even if I think there are other things that should have been addressed first, and even if I paid off my student loans ahead of schedule after college through sheer hard work and tenacity, that doesn't mean I'm the kind of jerk that thinks nobody else should ever get a little bit of help. A rising tide lifts all ships. Edit. Shucks. Thanks for the award. Back when I had student loan debt, a $20,000 forgiveness, adjusted for inflation, would have put me 2 years or so closer to buying a house. So basically it would have given me 2 more years of life financially speaking. That's an amazing difference to me. And I hope that it has that big of an impact for some young people today. This fast-tracks my loan repayment plan by at least a year. I graduated with an engineering degree last fall and I've been paying $1,600 per month since I started working to aggressively pay it before interest starts again. Do I wish I had more? Sure. But I'm frankly surprised the government actually did anything at all. I'm well aware I'm lucky to have a high-paying job, a cheap rent, and no kids with my degree. I'm also aware not others are as lucky as I am, so I'm glad they got some help too, since they needed it more than me. $10 minus $20,000 is a political play. Capping student loan interest at 2% fixes the issue.